Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Let me welcome you to this another episode of the Saudi Press Show. And let me apologize for the late start. Not too late, but at least not the usual 6:30 that was planned. And just having a little difficulty, but we'll get everything soon sorted out. Anyway, people, this is a Wednesday night, and if you are a long-standing member of the Saudi Press Show or a long-standing fan, you would have recognized that Wednesdays are actually scheduled for educational content. We want to get back to that as it is. So tonight is the first start, or this evening, I must say. And big thing. All right, so we'll be here. Our guest is actually in the waiting room, sorting out, just getting the little necessaries out, so she will be in. But people, there's a whole lot to discuss as it relates to education. And I must say, before I continue, let me wish all the teachers a happy Teachers Day, happy Teachers Evening. I hope you had a very successful and peaceful day. I said peaceful because sometimes the way we go out on a daily basis, like we are in some level of discomfort, but somehow we know that the hard work that we do, the tenacity, and of course the willpower that we have, we always try to be on top of things. So again, happy Teachers Day, and I hope you teachers would have enjoyed the day. Somebody said to me this morning, I'm not gonna say happy Teachers Day, because every day is Teachers Day for you people. It's all right, but guess what? It's just one day that we set aside, or it is set aside to recognize the hard work of our teachers. So blessings to all the teachers who are here and those who are everywhere else, even outside of Jamaica. We understand because we know that teaching is not just for one place. Teaching is a profession that takes you through life. Once a teacher, always a teacher. All right. So tonight we're going to look at so many things. The JTC Bill, a very, very tough discussion going on in public space. You can imagine. The JTA has a stance, but somehow the government also have a stance. Where do we go? What's happening? What are the challenges we have with this bill? How many of us actually know the content of the bill? By now, everybody should have had some level of report. If you don't have a report, you should have it in hand, at least the draft bill. So, and really and truly think that we'll have a little discussion about it. I am not so afraid with all the points that the issues that are discussing, but we'll get through some of these tonight. Our able guests will take us. All right. So not a problem. We will have that discussion, and I want you to share as well, people. As it is now, you are here. Say something in the comment. Let me recognize you. Let me recognize all the persons who are here, so we can send a big shout out to them as per usual. Okay. So we're going to look at the JTC bill. We also, the question I've been asking since morning, a few teachers though, what are your views on the essence or the lack thereof of Teachers Day celebration in Jamaica? Yes, in my view, gone are the days when it was an exciting day for our teachers, exciting day for our students. Somehow, some persons today would have said it's just a normal day, not because they're at work, but the feeling, the vibes, it's not there anymore. So share your views in the comment section. If it is that you're unable to comment, that means you have not yet subscribed to the Saudi Press Show. So let me ask you, please, if you have not done so, subscribe now, and maybe in another 2 or 3 minutes, you'll be able to share your content. I also want you to like and share the Saudi Press Show tonight. It's very important. And for those of you who are unable to join just now, they will join soon. All right? So, people, when you have the guests coming on live, they have to go through their phase. And, the phase, that titivated phase. Am I calling it right? So, our guest, of course, as I said, she's in the studio, getting on her, I think it is makeup for the camera. So she will come out soon. Nevertheless, we want to give her all the love there is. Going forward, I must say, into the elections, we will have a series of interviews from the different candidates for the next set of candidate elections. As per usual, we have been doing that for the past 2 years, and we want to continue. Good thing about this year, we don't have as much candidate as we had last year. I think we have, what, 7 candidates last year? Well, this year I believe it is 3, and we'll get some more information on it. I don't want to misquote. All right. So again, for those who are here, just say something. Let me recognize you in the chat if you want to stay by yourself. Maybe you just don't want to comment. You don't want persons to know who actually making such a comment. That's fine. But you are free to comment whatever you say. But all I'm asking, just respectfully, you can comment. You can say your mind. You can spell it out in a respectful manner. Not a problem. All right. Bless up, Miss Tamara Shah. Good evening and good evening to you. Thank you for joining. How say you? How was your day today? I'm almost sure that you're a teacher, Tamara. The teachers quick to join this type of show right now in this evening. On a regular basis, I have a lot of persons in sports. But how was your day today? Even if you weren't a teacher, Tamara, if you're not a teacher, what happened today? How was school? Let me know. Just share it with us. All right. So bless up. Tamara says good evening. Okay. And CXC exams, yes, that has started as well. So I know that the grade 11, 10, a matter of fact, students do 60 from grade 9, 10, and 11 in most schools now. So let me wish them all the best. And I hope that this year will be a vast improvement, especially in mathematics that was so bad last year. I'm expecting greater things this year. I think the teachers have worked overtime this year. There's a lot of initiatives that were, created, developed, and also implemented by the schools and also by the Ministry of Education. So I'm expecting good things. PEP, as you know, grade 6 PEP over the past couple of months, and we have grade 5 and grade 4 coming up, so I want to bless up. Yes, you got it right. A well-spent day, feeling appreciated as a teacher. Thumbs up for that, and I want to bless up all those who make it possible tomorrow. All right? So continue to share with us. There's another point. So we mentioned the exit exams for grade 6 and grade 11 students. We know that the school year is running very fast, coming to an end, and most schools would have planned their end of year activities, more so graduation. So remember, people, if you're planning a graduation and you need the services of live streaming, you could check the Sardicrest show, and if you look, the numbers are running. Just call the numbers and we have a conversation about it. All right. If you have any other event that you'd love to stream or record, Sardicrest show is right here. All right. So let me see if my guest is ready, though. Remember, people, remember to like and subscribe. Yes, that's all I'm asking for, just the like right now. Share it as well. More people will join later on. Just give me a minute. Let me just see if I can make one last contact with someone, please. All right. They're fine. All right. So again, Teachers Day, very well known day for Jamaicans and for teachers around the world. One thing that I recognize, almost every single sector has a day. Sorry that if I'm so naive, but in recent time I recognize that, and I want to big up everybody. We need to recognize. I knew about the Secretary's Day. We have seen guidance counselors Day are week. Yes. And not just the days, all of these different sectors in education also have their unions or associations. Let me use associations. Have their associations. But one of the interesting things about some of these associations, or all of them, I'm not fact, it's an association, so they have dues. And these dues must be paid. Unlike the JTA, let me see if I get it right. Yeah, unlike the JTA who have, monthly due or association due. I think the others, there are affiliations, so you have affiliation fees, and so on that has to be paid for a year. I think that is good. I think that is good. So somehow I think all the bodies in education, we will get it right sometime. We will get it right. But based on what's happening, what's going on? Let me hear your views also on the expected migration of teachers coming September. Do you expect a lot of teachers leaving this year? I am so happy. I don't think so. I, I don't think we'll have a lot of teachers leaving this year. Many would have wanted, of course, but I guess people are putting a little tab now on the link. Yes, why? Yeah, people are putting a tab. Uncle Trump make things start and seems difficult now. So many of us who would have planned I want to go September will have to take back a little look and say, is this the right time? Hmm? So, while in some quarters, people have believed that we'll have another mass migration of teachers. Somehow I don't think so. But anything can happen. And I'm not saying that persons won't leave. All right. The other thing, and I've heard it coming in this sphere, maybe from JTA too, or some fans, teachers are saying based on what the JTC bill are trying to do is to suppress teachers in some ways. And because of that, that will encourage our teachers to leave the nation. Yes. But talking about that, I've heard of a little friend of mine who have left recently. And should I though? No, I'm going to leave that story alone. Let me leave that story alone. But it's quite interesting though, of what will happen in September. Very, very interesting. Uncle Trump is the main factor in this one. All right. So let's see what some persons like me would have happy because, and I said that when you have colleagues who, you have a staff, a very small staff, a staff of 8 or 9 teachers, or even 7 teachers, and in one go, 4 teachers just leave. 50% of the staff left one time. And not just 50% of the staff, 50% of the senior persons in the school. So when you look at that and the challenges that you face, the replacement issues, yes, and trust me, not just who leave in college, but those who are in college not planning to stay, it's not encouraging. So while I'm saying that anywhere anyone want to go, I appreciate it. It's your decision, but just generally speaking, I don't think we will have, and it will help some of us to manage our schools and to manage our students, and by extension, Jamaica's education system. The new education minister, though, have not said anything since she has taken office. What's your view? Is there can you compare our new education with our recent past education minister? Yes, are we talking about Miss Favor? Auntie Favor. The teachers them going to work with Auntie Favor, because they will actually find a way to buy a motor vehicle. They will save and buy a motor vehicle, and Auntie Favor watch. So let me see what happens. I hope this minister can not just encourage, yes, our teachers to buy a Pro Box, but indeed encourage our teachers to buy a BMW, a Audi. What say you? I see the smiles coming from backstage, Well, I'm sure, even the JTA, they will find and they will back for us. Because you see, if I had the power in the JTA, if I were on the executive, I would push by the credit union to do better in terms of their loan agreement, yes, for our teachers. But let's see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not take it any longer. Tonight, we'll have a special guest. Someone is not strange to you at all, not strange to Jamaica. He's a here-to-here person on the Saudi Press show as well. And we have no other. Sometimes I'm afraid to call her name, I pronounce it wrong, but Mrs. Sonja Harris. I think I get it right. I want you to help me to welcome Mrs. Sonja Harris. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Whitaker. Thank you for having me. Good evening to all your viewers locally, and I'm sure internationally as well. Yes.
Yes, 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 of course. I guess there are persons wondering if you're still coming on, you know.
My apologies for the delay.
Yeah, man, but I've explained to them that you were getting yourself sorted out in the makeup room and all of that. So, when you're coming on stage in the media, yes. So, I almost call you Madam President, you know. But
Oh
the,
Lord.
the last time we spoke, that is how I address you.
Yes.
But nevertheless, Mr. Cyrus, former president, no president elect, not president, but candidate elect, right? We have a number of questions. We have a number of a discussion that will take us. I'm not sure for how long. It depends on you, and I'm sure that's why the teachers and also the other persons who love education and want to see the best for our students and teachers are here or will be here tonight. But before I get into all that you have to say about you tonight and what is expected, and your expectation, your mandate coming forward, I'm not sure, but I really want to touch a little on the JTC bill.
Oh
I know
Lord.
it's a draft. I'm not sure. I can't comprehend myself.
Well, the
But
fact of it being passed in the upper house in the Senate, I think it's a little bit more than a draft at this stage.
oh my God.
But it's still a work in progress. It's still a bill. It's not yet law, and that is important. That is important. It's a bill.
Mhm.
It's not yet law, but it's 2/3 in the journey.
Two-thirds.
Yeah, 2/3 the way of the journey.
You see, my problem, and I've heard a lot of different views coming out of that. I know that the JTA is strong. There are adamant. There are some aspect of the bill that needed to be readdressed. And I've heard even the opposition spokesman on education. I've heard a lot other educators speaking about the bill. But can you share with us what are the major challenges from your perspective?
So,
You have seen this bill.
good evening to you again. And before we go there, please allow me the opportunity to greet
Okay.
my colleagues
Oh no
across the
problem.
length and breadth of this nation. It's minutes to 7. The day is not quite yet ended. And so, a happy Teachers' Day to you all. I pray you had a rewarding day, a reflective one too. Um, and just, celebrating you, even if you were not celebrated, because there are sometimes we have to speak over ourselves, when there's nobody to encourage us along the way. We have to remind ourselves of why am I on this road again? Because I was so chosen to, because I chose the road, the road chose me, the journey chose me, the calling of a teacher. And
Yes.
so, however you got to this noble profession and this worthy profession, the one that we have the awesome opportunity to influence and to shape lives and to influence generations to come,
Most
where
of
your names will be echoed even when you have passed. Your names will be singing throughout eternity and through history. I say, Happy Teachers' Day to you, my colleagues, and every blessing to you as you walk in the steps of the master teacher. So I had to greet my colleagues. Thank you. JTC Bill. Oh
my
Lord.
word.
Sometimes when I reflect over my life, I said, God, you can't be so coincidental. And I don't believe he's ever coincidental. I think he is very instructive. He designs, he organizes strategically, and things fall in place. So I think it was about 2012 that I was unanimously selected by the then general counsel. I was not sitting on council at the time, to be the teacher, to sit on a task force that was then convened by the minister to review the draft bill. So I've been journeying with this bill a little while.
So you're more than capable to talk to us today.
So even just the composition of the bill, it was way thicker. It was a voluminous document.
Wow.
And we spoke just to that, who will read all of this, and certainly some of the very issues that we're still contending with over 2 decades ago. We're still, and that tells you something about the thought processes of the designers of the bill. It has to be that they have an intention. If after 2 decades, 20 years, we're still struggling with getting the government, both sides of the aisle, because both sides of the aisle have been sitting in government with this bill, and that we have not had much movement. The 37 plus 2, I think something to the sort, amendments that were tabled in the upper house not too long ago, just before the Senate would have passed the bill. When you look at them, they're quite grammatical errors, nothing of subsequence, as it relates to what the JTA has highlighted over the years. So what have been some of the things that we need action on? The composition of the Board of Governance for the JTC, for the Jamaica Teaching Council bill, only has 6 persons from the union represented, 6 of the 15 registered and licensed individuals. So 31, the composition, the full composition of the board, according to the bill, is in total 31 persons. Of that 31, 15 are required to be registered, licensed by definition of the bill. Those are persons who are teachers. So, or who have been authorized to teach. Yes. So 15 of the 31 individuals on the Jamaica Teaching Council bill will be teachers. 16 of them, we don't know what their profession will be. What we know is that they will outnumber teachers on the Jamaica Teaching Council bill.
So hold on a second. Hold on. You said 15 will be teachers.
Yes, registered and licensed.
Registered. And 16 you don't know.
Those are not required to be registered and licensed. So those will be other individuals who will be determining what are the professional standards that ought to be governing the teaching profession. If you look at the preamble of the bill, it says that one of the main aim of this legislation is that of professionalizing the profession. And so you will have 16 people who are not teachers who will be charged with professionalizing the profession. Cannot be, sir. There's nothing. There's no.
No,
that's not amusing. There's no joke. Unbalance is, it's putting it mildly.
Okay.
It is a stark. Let me be I'm not the sitting president. Let me
You're a listener tonight. You're not the president tonight.
The teachers of this nation are not receiving the kind of courtesy, the professional courtesy that ought to be extended to us as professionals. From 2011, the system would have been transitioned where it is that all teachers are expected to have at least a first degree, if you remember that.
That is
So
so
that
true.
came out of the 2001 white paper. You see how long the journey we've been journeying? And by 2011, that white paper under Bertrell Whiteman, if my memory serving me well, yes, would have indicated by 2011, we want all teachers to be degree trained. That's what we've set as a standard as a nation.
Correct.
So majority, we're fast forward, we're what, 2025? That's some 14 years later. I know more than 3/4, more than 80% of the teaching profession are qualified. The teachers are qualified with the least that of a first degree. Now, you compare us to the nurses who undertake their same years of study and other professional grouping, and they, on their licensing body, they are certainly not outnumbered in terms of the individuals sitting on those boards to oversee the licensing and setting professional standards. I can't, and I always use this analogy. Nobody goes to the doctor for the doctor when the doctor is to come do a surgery, sir, and say to doctor, don't cut over here, cut over here, because that's their thought. But everybody wants to come at a classroom door, or they stay from wherever they are, and they're observing, teaching, and learning, and they want to tell teachers how to carry out the business of teaching and learning. It is untenable. It's an egregious position. It is an insult to the educators of this nation, where it is you do not think we are worthy, that we are competent for a bill that wants to establish competence. Yes, that we're not competent as educators across the length and breadth of this nation, where it is that we have not only left indelible mark here in Jamaica, the region, and internationally across the landscapes. And you, our leaders, do not believe that we're fitting to be in majority vote of the number of persons to sit on the Jamaica Teaching Council Board of Management. That is unacceptable, Mr. Whitty.
It is so true. But you mentioned those other 16 members. Do you have any ideas? Any idea at all who the other members are? Are they not yet selected or elected on that bill?
So what is that? It's positions that are named in the bill. So you have the Chief Executive Officer of CFPSA, the child care, the advocate, children advocate. Yes. You have the Chief Executive Officer. So I'm going from my total memory at this moment. Yes, of the Chief Executive, the Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, directly in charge of professional standards and teachers. Then you have there is 4 representatives from parental bodies, those special needs, those who teach their own children at home. Okay. So 4 representatives there. Of the 4 representatives from the church, 2 of them are not required to be licensed, and from the independent schools you have 2, and 2 1 is not expected to be hold on there, Mr. Whitney. my brain. I don't want to miss
Mislead. All right.
anything. Oh
So
my,
people hear this. We need to know
got
all
it.
about this bill.
Oh Lord, it's not at my fingertips. There is a little book that I had it written in, right? So
Yes.
the I know the parents for sure are four. I know of the religious denomination. They have four, and two are not required to be licensed and registered. Then you have a financial representative. You also have a legal representative. Um, so I talk about the denominations, read the
Mhm.
church. I talk
Yes.
about the parent rep. I talk about the independent schools.
Yes.
Then three teachers are there. So they fall in the 15 at the bottom. The three persons, they fall at the bottom, nominated by the council for those extraordinary teachers. So
Oh.
I'm sure, while I might not be able to name for you definitively
Mhm.
the positions, I'm positive that we have 16 that are not persons who are required to be licensed and registered. That's 16 out of the 31. And then you have 15 that are required to be licensed and registered, and those are teachers. So at all times, the teachers of this nation will be outvoted by non-teachers.
So, what role the Minister of Education play in this bill?
So to add insult to injury or injury to insult, yes,
Mhm.
the minister has the powers to choose the the chairman and the deputy chairman.
Oh.
So the minister does not allow the board to become
Come to a
to
conclusion or to
formulated
recommend.
for them to meet, and then from among them that
They
they
decide on a chairman.
choose
Yeah.
who will be the chairman. Now, if there is no intention on the part of any of our political leaders on either side of the aisle, tell me
Mhm.
why in heaven's name would the minister or the crafters of this bill, not the minister, but the crafters of this bill, deem it so necessary and important to name that it is written in the bill. You see what is in black and white? It's serious business, you know. So it is written in the bill that the minister chooses these two individuals. To further, the bill was amended in the upper house that the minister has the remit to alter, to amend the professional standards that are established. So I am asking the questions, and I hear the responses and the rebuffing, and if the teachers are listening, you know, what is being responded to is, oh, the why the JTC bill is needed. We have never, the Jamaica Teachers Association, and even in the submission we made to the Joint Select Committee under then President Mr. Winston Smith,
Yes.
in the preamble, in our opening remarks, we said that we are in support of the matter of licensing teachers and establishing standards to guide. Because you know, all of us got to teach. Well, these young set may not They might change it by then. But when we used to, teacher as a profession, one little pink book that we
Yes,
use over education
of
department.
course.
Yes, that little pink book. There was always the debate, and I know for sure my lecturer did it in such a way that there was a debate for us to determine, is teaching a profession?
Yes, exactly.
Profession, because the body of knowledge, and you have to belong to a professional
Organization.
organization, and all of these. If for those of us who have been teaching long enough and went to teachers college, we remember that discourse. So we're aware of all of these, and one of the main arguments that is used is because we have a category called pre-trained teachers. So the fact that we have that category, that
Yes.
has allowed persons to question the profession, whether we are established
Professional body.
yes, and not all members are of the union, because with other groupings, automatically everybody have to become a part of the bar association, or you have to become a part
So,
of yes. So
so we
it
have
is
to blame ourselves as teachers in this position because we are not arming ourselves.
So automatically, all members are not a part of the JTA, though we have the lion's share of the teacher membership. However, so those are some of the little loopholes that persons have used to determine or to question if we're truly
A
a
professional body.
profession. So those are some. So when it is that you have the minister, or those who the bill has so empowered the minister in that particular way, it leaves you to question what are the motives behind the crafters of the bill, and what is their intention towards teachers and the teaching profession. So that's just the beginning. In there's another function of the board that I find concerning, troubling. It
But
says that the board will be able to conduct appraisals. Now, when you hey, when I read that, and when I
Lord of
listen
mercy.
to the line of conversation coming out of the compensation restructuring exercise,
Mhm.
which an appraisal instrument is to be so designed for the teacher, where it is that we are praised to determine our receipt of increments. Literally, that's where they would like to go.
Yes.
Now, when it is that the JT, I've been telling the teachers, that the piece is and the same time leaf go water bottom era.
Exactly. Which is true.
So anything that is coming into shape, they never put everything at once yet. No puzzle. It is no longer a puzzle if all the pieces come fitted together.
Which is
It's
true.
little by little different parts of it come in place, and then by the time the whole puzzle come together and go voila, you say, when did we reach here? And then those who sound the alarm were made out to be troublemakers and persons who are questioning, because there are those of us who God gives some discerning spirit. We can see some things that are coming down the line. So the teachers are to be some appraisal instrument, pay by performance. That's literally where it's going.
Yes. That's a long-standing discussion, but
Oh,
I'm not
yes.
sure how well we'll get into that.
It so happened that I also sat on a committee from 2008 at the JTA, where it is I was given the task to go and do some research about that pay by performance to
Favorite
see where
performances.
in other jurisdiction it exists. And I wrote an article in the Clarion years ago about same, right? So back to this matter of
So,
the board being empowered to conduct appraisals. My question is, of whom? Of whom?
well, I guess the appraisal document, they'll draft up another appraisal document.
Of whom? And if the board, the composition, this is a super board, you know, because this board is going to be with the business of registration,
Yes.
licensing, and then to conduct
And monitoring.
and to inquire and to do inquiry where their allegations are made,
Investigation, monitoring, and all of that.
investigation, all of these things. And I'm saying, wow. Wow. So the composition of the board and all those matters that I just outlined are just one matter. Oh, and the fact that they're unwilling to name the JTA as the association in the bill, like the Bar Association is named in the General Legal Counsel bill, right?
You're not taking any thought on that.
Of naming the JTA as the body to represent the teachers. It only refers to us as the association with the largest number to representing teachers. So they refuse to write the Jamaica Teachers Association.
This is serious.
So that's one with part A, B, C, and D of the challenges that we're having. The whole matter of where are you on your hand? And our remit and the reason why we exist is to defend our members. No, when it is, we see that you're not naming us in the bill. So, and at some point he said that you can carry a friend. You can imagine? But anyway, the JT has always been a friend to the teachers of this nation. So then they now say, the bill offers the opportunity for an individual, whomever it is, to lodge a complaint and allegation against a licensed individual, someone licensed to teach. You can log it at the JTC, and you can also submit that allegation at the board. So the one teacher can be tried by two different bodies, carry out two different set of investigation.
And it might end up being 3 because it can go to a court of law.
Okay. Right? So the one teacher could be fighting. So you have to now find resources to at the board level. So if you're being investigated by the personnel committee at the board level, or if you're being investigated by the similar setup of a personnel committee at the JTC level, right? So much hearing you're gonna go in for. And I'm saying, no, what natural justice is there to the teacher of this nation? I have some questions in my head. You see, if all of them come to light, I will perhaps, because I can't understand if it is not evil intent in nature. Why would you not want the same hierarchical structure to remain in terms of, okay, so a complaint is levied at the school board level, which the school board is so empowered. So there's another question, but is the school board people to answer a question there? If it is that eventually we're eroding and erasing the autonomy of the boards of our schools, that's another question in the balance, in the wings, waiting to be answered. So why not remain that hierarchical structure where it is the complaint is lodged at the board level, the board carries out its investigation. If the accuser is not pleased with the outcomes thereafter because they believe they have enough evidence against the teacher, and then you could now say you are so free to now appeal or to lodge a complaint at the JTC to reopen the investigation because you didn't feel that the board of management of the individual school dealt with it why not allow that kind of processes to take place? Why would you want to be able to try the teacher at the board and at the JTC? That can be done simultaneously.
So listen, all of that being said, where are we with our own act, the Code of Regulations of 1980?
Well, sir, when this bill
What
go
is
through the third reading at the parliament, it has gone through the first and second readings
mm,
already. Yes, should this bill pass the third reading and that in the lower house, hey, God forbid,
the Code of Regulation is null and void?
the 1980 Code of Regulations become obsolete pretty much. Yes, several sections of it will be repealed because several sections of the 1965 Education Act will be repealed as a
Mhm.
result of the JTC Bill.
So that all the powers that will be
So
given
the
to them.
grievance process and all the powers, yes, sir. All of those things, the process of hiring a teacher, all of that would be now, all of those sections will be repealed as a result of the passing of the bill. That is why teachers need to go read the bill. Teachers need
Well,
to understand the issues that we're not just beating up gum because we don't have nothing to do. This is life and death.
I think the
This is what
JTA at
it
this
is.
point,
Huh?
I recommend the JTA at this point to have a lot more sessions. Yes, if it means DA to DA with our teachers, because we are teachers, but we will not read this entire bill for sure.
That's so loud.
Me I talk loud, man. Me I talk for myself too. So we need the guidance. I need the professional, the people like you. And the other hierarchy of the JTA. The fact why I'm saying this though,
And you know what that we read? So
we read no, what is that
let
that we
me tell
call
you what we
reading?
read.
We
We
were gonna go
read the
into the part
content.
that exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to. So we need those little nuances to come out for us to help us to understand. Because
This
this is
is
serious.
very serious and it is every teacher's business. So I hear a particular kind of narrative to say, oh, the bill, and as I said, we have never ever said that the bill was not necessary. And in terms of us moving forward as we go, champion and shape
Mhm.
education. But I've always articulated one of my mandate thing is that teachers, there ought to be a plan crafted to guide education, but at the table must be educators leading that discussion. And on this JTC bill, educators must lead the discussion. Educators must lead the discussion to establishing the professional standards. And currently, when you look at the composition of the board, educators will not be in the majority. So we can be outnumbered at
Even,
any time.
even if the president of the JT is nominated to be the
Thank you very
chairman of
much,
it.
sir.
Because 16 to 15 shows that we are
Hi.
already out of it.
Okay.
I mean, so
Okay.
these are the narrative, and you bring this a bit easier and closer to me now. I fully understand more of the issues. But I'm telling you the truth, it's over a week now I'm reading this bill, And I'm
So,
really
so those are some of the and if we were to go nitty gritty, me I tell you, so it could have take whole night, whole
no
week.
man, that's serious
Yes,
thing.
as it relates to some how this you see bills and how they're worded. You have to see how it operates. It gives wiggle room. So
Listen,
most laws tend to
just like
be
laws.
vague.
That is it. So it's not for the regular person to understand or to
Most
manipulate
laws,
them.
that's why there is a letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Yes, so most laws do not explicitly. So it
No, it's
is
not
now
clear.
left to the interpretation of the judge who will balance the arguments that are posited
Mm-hmm.
by legal representation from both sides. And then the judge, based on his or her experience, knowledge of international law, our law, all of these things, will now give his or her verdict on a particular matter. So when you have to look at the possibilities, the probabilities that the law is affording, and empowering, and certainly not in the best interest of the teacher of Jamaica. It almost seems like, boy, one more thing for crush them. It's like it's so we already not get enough pay. We already working under the undesirable conditions, and then on top of this, you want to put a piece of legislation. It's not like a final. This probably is the straw that breaks the camel's back, and every teacher needs to understand no political color, not in the matter of this bill. I want my colleagues to hear and understand it's 2 decades, 20 years. Both governments have been in leadership of the country, and we are unable to get them to reduce the fines. Yes.
Hold on. I don't want to use it when I talk about this JTC bill.
Yes, please.
You tend to come along with some points. Reducing the fines. But let me ask you, is there a cost to registration for this?
Hey, no, there's absolutely no cost.
No cost for registration.
The current code of regulations, 1980, requires teachers to be registered. I remember years ago sending in all of my documents. Yes, right? And so there's absolutely no cost. There's never been, and the Jamaica Teachers Association has never articulated that there is any cost to registration. What we have continuously sound an alarm about is that of the unnamed, unformulated, unstated fees that the teachers will incur on our undersalaried positions already, that we will incur in the matter of licensing every 5 years. That's the only. We have never spoken about registration. There's no fee to registration.
It's just the licensing.
It's a matter of licensing. And the licensing, we have asked, could there be a formula embedded in the bill? They said no, that those don't go in a bill, that go into regulations and whatever. There's no in. So the fact that the bill, the council will be self-sufficient, because it tells you in the bill that they can almost income generate. It tells you that in the bill. So the fact
in layman term, money must
need money to carry out your functions, because it takes cash to care.
Yeah.
How, we don't know what is the, and they will establish, that's a role of the board to establish the fees to be charged. And we're going to be outnumbered. A madness. It's madness. It is madness.
I heard President Dr. Mark Smith, draw an analogy to say that you can't ask a math teacher to stay with a physics class. Based on how we're seeing this bill and the licensing, we have shortage of teachers. We continue to have shortage of teachers. So we'll have to stay short.
Oh, Jesus.
Are the teachers who leave in college will have to be licensed before they leave college?
Well, we're not quite sure what will be the grandfathering period, and certainly you'll have that kind of setting and establishing when the regulations are established. Then that will deal with some of the nitty-gritty that will come to light. But to establish the regulations, you need majority teachers to establish the regulations. We take no comfort. Well, I take no comfort that the regulations are not yet established, because the people to establish the regulations are the people who will outnumber the teachers
Exactly.
on the council to establish those regulations. So with teachers, we must follow the arguments.
No,
We have to empower ourselves with the knowledge and follow the arguments that are being posited, and look at the shiftings and the shadings that are taking place, and not dealing with the granular and the egregious matters that needs attending before this bill can go any further.
finally on the bill. Let me ask, have the questions and the matter of majority of the members, when asked the question, what is the responses like from the minister or from those who chair the JTC? Why is it that you have more members than the JTA? What is the answer given?
I couldn't answer that question, sir, because given my I'm currently the humble chief servant of the St. Faith's Primary School. So I have not been afforded any such audience with any of the movers and shakers of the education system, where it is I could pose such questions to said individuals. So I noticed, sir, I'm telling my colleagues, listen to the messaging that is coming out of our employers. They're not dealing with that, responding to that aspect. And well, I haven't heard it. So if my colleagues have heard it, they'll perhaps share, but I have not heard any response to that egregious matter, because it is on that matter that everything else stems. It is on that matter, because once we are outvoted, once we are outnumbered, we get shafted. Long time, dead in the waters. I'm not talking. The president pointed out the other day that they can keep a meeting for the quorum is 11. They can keep a meeting without teachers present.
I never even look at it that way.
Yes, because we are only 6 members from the union, so they can keep up. Let me go down a little history road. So there was a matter some time ago, early 2000s, I believe it was, where it is on the Teacher Services Commission.
Yes.
There was a matter of conflict of interest. And the Jamaica Teachers Association, by virtue, it currently has six members. And the Jamaica Teachers Association found the matter egregious enough not to attend meetings. So that particular body was not able to convene meetings until the JTA was present, which is rightly so. If you're dealing with matters of the teachers, the union has majority membership of the teaching profession, rightly so. The teachers must be at the table when any decision is to be made about a teacher. And if that is not the case for can you imagine the lawyers? Can you imagine how the lawyers of this nation, and I don't understand how other professionals, I don't know, probably I'm not hearing them coming out in solidarity with the teachers of this nation. You can imagine the insult the lawyers of this nation, when they put on them KC voice, KC King's Council voice, yes, if they would have sat down and allow for the constitution of the General Legal Council to take place, where they are outnumbered, court would have shut down in this nation. Yes, no court, not keep. Anyhow, if that were the situation,
so something else should shut down now.
Why this discourtesy concerning the teachers of this nation? It's untenable. And I'm asking my colleagues to go and educate yourself. This our need crowd. You need to draw a crowd in your staff room when everybody get them shed pan when a lunchtime and say, come
Right.
colleagues, we are going through the JTC bill, line by line,
Yeah, man,
precept by precept.
I'm trying to arm myself with enough knowledge and understanding of this bill,
Yes,
because the next time I come on here to speak, I should be able to speak fluently on it.
it
And
is
I'm saying
important.
that. I'm saying that because I know it will affect us. It is affecting us right now. And without a shadow of a doubt, and I said, teachers, if we weren't strong before, we need to be strong now.
And if ever time we needed the union,
Yes, we
I'm
need.
telling you, my
I,
brother,
I
it is
hear
not.
talk, you keep saying union. We need to change this name, from JTA to JTU.
To J- the Jamaica Teachers Union.
Yes, because I believe that, well,
Well,
I believe that there's
you're
a little
on to something,
difference.
because let me tell you one of the challenges that the bill
Mhm.
also proposes. You see, for years, it has been this little rock, this little grouping. It's not little; it's a major lighting torch in this nation. A light was lit 1894 at a little place called Mitzvah. And then it kept on burning, 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 burning until it was merged with those five um, bodies coming together December 14th, 1963 at a place on Mountain View. And so the JTA came into being. And do you know, sir, and even before the Jamaica Teachers Association came into its formation as we know it today, when you talk about offering professional opportunities for professional development, who carried the bulk of that? The Jamaica Teachers Association. With the passage of this bill, it is the JTC. If you notice in our current appraisal, the weighting that is
Trust me.
given. I read, if my mother sent me to school to do nothing else, I read.
So,
Even now I beat myself because I don't think I am reading, because there's so many things I'm not reading as I once did. But I read, sir. And if you notice the weighting in the appraisal instrument, and when should this bill come into place in its current form, God forbid, then you would see that there will be a kind of monopolizing of, because you see how they're already pushing the professional development days, and we're not against, because the JT has led the charge on that. So much
yes,
so that there are those among the JTA ranks who would say that the JT has been studied very well and is now being replicated in other places. Because when you come to our education conference,
yes,
our
very
health and
good
skills
conference.
professional development day, all the other short courses, there was a time JTA had a slew of short courses, voice, speech, and all of that coming out of the professional development, the
Yes,
professional teacher welfare committee. We had a slew of training, learning skills, hands-on floral arrangement, all sort of things. The JTA had computer courses. All at the Jamaica Teachers Association led the chart in professionalizing the profession long before. And so now, when you look at how the bill is worded, it will be the JTC that will be the lead organization to offer professional development to the teachers of this nation. What does that? So when you said JTU, a light bulb went off in my head. Yes, because it just may be that our professional pillar, because we are where we usually say that we stand on two pillars, the professional arm and the union arm. But you have one little man down at Jamaica Teachers Association. Every day him get up in our meeting, hey, we are a union. And him carry on, and yes, and we must remember
who's that little man?
past president twice, and he was not recycled. So yes, He would
Oh
get up
my
and say,
God.
"We are a
Union.
union. We are a union, and we must remember our mandate that we're a union." So we're registered as a union, hence we're a member of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions. Our predominant role is that of representing the membership. So there are some days coming that we may, I don't know, that's for the membership to decide. It is the members who are the owners of this body. And so you have put a thought out there. You never know in terms of what the membership may think about same. And any ordinary member can have that thought,
Yes,
write a
man.
resolution, and you never know where it will go if you get enough persons to agree where that is concerned.
I am of the belief because we're an association, we can't take strong action. We don't have to go there, but just the whole
No, so they won't
crafting
take
of stuff.
strong action
We're not
in
strong.
times past.
Well,
Yes,
well,
man. Me remember going high school and me tell my
mm,
mother, say, "Mommy, school not keeping today. The teachers are on strike." She said, "Go on same way. Go on. You never know what's what happen." And when
we're,
we go
we, we were
teacher,
never on strike, we're on sit out. Our sitting.
teacher send me home because school not keeping today. I said, "I tell this lady, say school not keeping, you know." But anyway, so
Yes.
the union has had strong actions in times past, and certainly if those actions are needed for today in order for us to safeguard the liberties that future generations of teachers are to enjoy, then let it be. The president, so empowered by the General Council and supported in his actions, will determine, what is the course on the way forward. So I encourage my colleagues to arm themselves with the knowledge, listen out, have the conversations at your DAs, at your PAs, yes, in your staff rooms, have the conversation and share the knowledge, share the information with your family, because the John public need to understand what are the egregious matters that the teachers are contending with, which the
Yes.
teachers are contending, we're taking whatever action if we need to, why we will be doing that, because this kind of insult, discourtesy does not take place for other groupings of professionals. And I if we're going into the 21st century and beyond, and say that the teaching is the mother of all professions, and you're professionalizing the profession, you can't continue to insult the intelligence
Yes.
of the teachers of this nation.
I tell you, this is where we leave you with this Jamaica Teaching Council bill for tonight. A whole lot. Can you believe? We have gotten a well-deserved lecture for the past hour, I would say. Could you believe it?
Can
I
you
tell you,
imagine? Oh
right.
Lord.
So we have to go into the meat of the matter. And that's that. Trust me. Thank you very much for that. It's really an inspiring one, an educational one. And you can see why you're at this juncture right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
I tell you. Candidate elect.
Yeah, that's me again.
How did you reach here last time?
Hey,
What makes
I
you
have
to decide?
some people who decide to go
No, no,
nominate me
no.
without my permission.
I
You
don't
know,
know them. Tell me about them. I don't know them. That's why I ask you. How?
you are some persons who thought it so it they thought it was fitting to have
Hmm.
submitted nominations and then tell me about it thereafter.
Is that
Um,
so?
and then I, of course, had to inquire of the Lord, do I take this on? I just come out of this seat and I said, Father,
Yeah.
really? Ah,
So
but
quickly. I mean, just over 2 years.
yes, and so it's a matter prayed about, sir, because is it because Mr. Witty, these days I'm very little, very least concerned about people's opinion into a certain extent, because
Yes.
you see, as long as I know, because the true judge, because our innermost thoughts and our reflections and our motives, or true motives, only God sees those and can really, that's what he judges to
Mhm.
determine which heart is after his or not. That's what he judges, our motives.
Okay.
And so when I can honestly kneel before the Lord, and he knows my heart and knows, because whenever I do what I'm not supposed to do, the Holy Spirit dropped me and say, oh, you knew you weren't to do that.
Very fast.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So so
So,
so when it is that I can honestly say that this is not a journey that I would take up if God did not tell me to take on this journey. So my colleagues would have seen it fit, but had God not said, go ahead, I would have to disappoint them. It is the truth. Yes, I would have to say, I'm humbled by your thought of reposing such confidence in me again. But if God had said no, then I would not, because the 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 things that come in our jargon of those who
yes.
believe and walk in Christendom, they said the warfare turned, yes, as it relates to taking on
So,
such a task. But I am offering myself again to be the teacher's voice. And I said, a little man taught me a course. And he said, Lasagna, you need to choose which hill you will die on. Because there are some things, because if
yes.
people know me, I would literally go at almost everything that I find to be injustice. I am going to be responding. I'm in the bank and I see them not treating the elderly people. And immediately I called for the manager and I said, excuse me, we no longer respect the elders of this nation. They have laid the foundation and they are here, and you have the elderly standing in the ordinary line like everybody
Yes.
else. So Mr. McNice, already, sir. So when it is that kind of injustice, and there's much that needs to be fixed in education, the teacher's situation, the teacher
Okay.
situation needs continued earring, voicing, not only in the conversations that are held behind closed doors, but also in the public sphere, because the John public needs to know the teacher's side of the story. That is what I fearlessly, factually, and faithfully and have proven to be trusted. Yes, that the teachers is a voice that the teachers can trust, that will represent their issues and to articulate same on their behalf in a national sphere, because some changes need to come to our situation.
Mrs. Harris, to be honest with you, when I heard that you were offering yourself again, I I was about surprised because it was so early. And then I said, well, I guess you have unfinished business.
But let me
I
give
guess
a
you have
little
unfinished
history.
business.
So, whenever going to the halls of the Jamaica Teachers Association,
Mm.
it is always a pleasure of mine. I'm a trained teacher of history. So, that perhaps people can appreciate something more about me as a result of saying.
All right,
So,
story.
I'm a trained teacher of history. So, every time I go into the halls of the Jamaica Teachers Association, it is always a pleasure to look up at the wall of all the
Yes.
persons who have gone before me. So it dawned on me when a conversation arisen there not too long ago, and about the whole thing of my going too quickly. Of the 50, of the 60 presidents, only 4 have gone twice.
Yes.
3 men, 1 female. Now, when I look on the dates of that one female, she served as president 68 and 71. Now, when I do the calculation, it would mean that she was president-elect 67, became president 68, was immediate past president 69. In fact, and for her to serve again as president in 71, it means she would have become PE 1970. Serve as president 71 and became IPP 72. So in fact, she didn't take her break.
Right through.
There was no
Very interesting
no
one.
break. Yeah. So when I saw,
Sanders.
and so all these years, I always look at the numbers. I always look at the pictures and the numbers. And it was just one day. I know that's the Lord bringing things to my recollection. And it just dawned on me. And I said, no, man, we've got to check them numbers here again, Father. This is so it will be true. And when I looked at it, I said, wow. And I said, this is very interesting. So she has been the only female who has served twice as president, and an outstanding woman. I didn't have the pleasure of meeting her, but just reading about her, I am always impressed about the legacy, the indelible mark she has made on education. She's the only president. So we have a current past president, Ms. Malloy, who serves on Education International, but the body that precedes Education International, the World Teacher Congress, that body, she served as vice president. So if you were to equate it to Education International now, she would have been a vice president of Education International. Yes. She articulated and advocated for a regional body to administer a regional examination, and that resulted in the creation of a Caribbean Examination Council, CXC. Yeah?
Well said.
So much so that when that body came into being in 1972, Jamaica was not an original signature. Many persons don't know that. Jamaica didn't immediately jump on the bandwagon of CXC. And it was out of her convincing, yes, of the then Prime Minister, that in 1973, Jamaica became a member of the CXC. That woman has done yeoman service to education. Personally, I believe she ought to be honored more, and one of these days. But yeah.
Good footsteps to follow it. But I still want to ask the question. Are there any unfinished business?
Unfinished business. I believe this is the first negotiations coming after the restructuring exercise.
Yes.
Because the restructuring exercise was not negotiations. It was government changing how it pays its workers, teachers included, right? And then, so this is the first negotiations coming out of that restructuring. Given my knowledge, journey, I do believe that I will stand as great support to the incoming president, under whose presidency negotiations might just continue. Yes. And I believe the presidential corps will make a good team to stand and to represent the teachers of this nation. A little yet coming, has not yet been granted to what I call the classroom teacher, the trained graduate, the foot soldiers, the people on whom the system depends. You have 1,009 schools. You can only have 1,009 principals. How many thousands of classroom teachers do we have? if that grouping of people, I am of the firm belief, if that grouping, that trained graduate, as articulated by the Ernst & Young study, which we see, it was certainly implemented in its fullest sense, or as written verbatim, for certain categories of people within the society and leaders within public sector. But when it came on to the people who turned the wheels of government, the numbers were tampered with, let me put it that way.
They were
Yes,
manufactured.
they were interpreted and reinterpreted and calculated and recalculated. And that includes the ordinary teacher whose salary, whose financial liberation is yet to take place. Because if it is, as principals, we don't have those foot soldiers at school on any given day, school can keep.
In problem, serious
And
problem.
when they have to decide if they come to school or send their children to school, that can't be. And we're a profession. We are professionals, and we can't pay a mortgage for our house comfortably, a car loan for our house, for cars, and we can't pay our utilities, buy food, save something of substance. Yes, I was at a presentation in another setting a few months ago, and the presenter said, you actually pay 10% for tithing. You should save 20%. That is the recommended 20%. Me look on him strange, because
Where I get that to see.
and I'm not a classroom teacher. So me look at him strange, because I'm saying, sir, are you for real? I hear your advice. I take it under consideration. Yeah, to save 20% of your salary, and then to have enough money to go to school for the rest of the month. No. Yes. So when it is the teacher has a salary, if not fully there, but near enough there, yes, the teacher's situation must be liberated. And I believe, as the individual who would have been led in that period, I believe the knowledge and certainly the experience I'm 4 years older and certainly 4 years wise.
Yes, but 4 years wise, 4 years knowledgeable. Dealing with presently, and I'm not sure what will happen going forward, but dealing with the same people, the same bodies that you dealt with, who you fought against, and you stood up tall. What do you think will change?
Let's just say, the second time, because this is the third time I'm running actually. The first time I ran, I didn't win.
Yes.
The second time I ran, 4 men and myself as the only female, and would have come out victor. When I questioned the Lord that time, why do you want me to do this? Why? That was a struggle, because I questioned God about that. And the response I got was, the revelation is in the journey. And I tell you, I've had several revelations over the last 3 years, 4 years. Oh my. Yes. And now you know that some revelations that you have, you keep them very close to your chest. You don't share them perhaps at all.
You need to share some, man. No.
And and you don't share them at all. And you
there are some things you have to keep.
And you learn that you have to be a little bit more strategic. God was teaching me some things, and perhaps because in the moment it was quite to learn some of the lessons, is that In fact, it was interesting that he had me in the book of Chronicles and Kings while I was president. Those were the books that I was bound in reading and paying attention to. And if you know, there's a little story how Josiah became king. You know, actually, it was the priest Zadok who took him from he was a baby because Athaliah, a not so nice lady in scripture, wanted, she was just going on a rampage and wanted to wipe out a particular lineage. And the priest actually took the child, hid the child. God is a God of strategy, you know. Yeah, so there are some strategies that, you know,
All right.
and it wouldn't certainly be wise to
Right.
to share them. So
It's all right.
I
You know what I get?
I can tell you that I am more very insightful and will walk certainly more wise,
Mhm.
wiser, and how it is that certain things are navigated and taken, even just the support that will come alongside you, you know. um there was somebody who gave some instructions and said, Lasagna, you know, one of the little things that I learned when you are president, you must be able to turn your back to a certain grouping of people. That was some instructions that they, yes. And I said, okay, but being the naive one that I was,
You
and
never turn
I,
around.
it was, and I am not regretting it either, you know, because being trusting of people as someone who don't practice to tell lies. I don't practice to do so. I didn't say I never told any lies.
Oh, okay. I
It
was
is
about
not
to ask.
my
I think
is not my practice.
practice.
I
Okay.
make every effort to be as truthful. Yes. And before me tell lie, me evade the situation or me, yeah. Because me have to answer to God, you know, sir, when me kneel down to pray.
All right. So you hear
And
these people, you won't get any lies from Lasagna.
so I don't,
None at all.
because God is going to hold me accountable for
Hmm.
whatever miss. That is why, because even during the presidency, I don't even remember when there was some teacher's situation that I brought to light that the teacher had not been, and the minister said, "Oh, she's not been truthful to them," and
Yeah.
I did not rebut the minister because you see, because I knew what I knew. And it would so happen that way down the line, while I was IPB, you know, the same teacher come back and said to me, you know, Miss, me still don't get paid yet. And I say, hey, now look at this. Yes, if I were to have come to national attend, and I said, Lord, you know all things, you will cause it to come to light. You know, so there's some things I just no longer nitpick on and follow up where
Yeah.
people make certain comments. I allow, God will cause what needs to come to light to come to light. So anyway, so I in wanting to represent the truth, or it is my intention to so do at all times, then I seek to be honest and to be transparent in all that it is that I say and do. Do I have my own fair shares of missteps and mistakes? I certainly have had those, and were there some things that I could have done differently? Oh, definitely. Definitely. But they say hindsight is a hell of a thing, eh? So hindsight, in hindsight, there are some things, but that's where the lessons are learned,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
then you
Right.
grow, and then
So
you, yeah.
you seems to be very confident. You're really confident that you will be victorious. Yes. Now, what is the mandate given to you? Because you said that there are some persons who would have nominated, and there must be reasons why they do so.
Then I should have asked some of them
We
first.
don't know about nobody. So I may ask you, no, I've gotten some information that you have put out some things that you want to do. Yes, some steps or some other things. Talk to us about them. What are the things that you're looking forward to carry out in the very near future?
The truth is, the conversation about education. Oh, I turned off. Sorry.
Yes.
The truth is, the conversation about education. There is no overnight fixing. When you read past president, trustee, past president twice, trustee, regional officer, all those capacities in which he served. Now the late Dundee Hewitt, his book, The Teacher's Struggle. A long time we struggle was. A long time we struggling. So nothing. God bless anything that we have that we can trumpet in education, that it was handed to us. We've always had to be wrestling. One of my mandates during presidency that was never, again, you see, the historian comes out in me, is that it wasn't completed, is that I wanted, for as far as we have the records, to pull up those heads of agreement that we have submitted over the years, or salary claims, and look, itemize those things that we have been asking for, the things we currently have now. How long, when did we first started asking for it? And how long it took for government to finally budge and implement and say, yes, go on, we will do that. That kind of history, I think the Jamaica Teachers Association needs to have on hand, because when a president goes out there to speak, he or she ought to be so armed with this information to well have documented the struggle of the teacher, and not to mention those things that we have accomplished vis-a-vis, on the other hand, those things that we are still lamenting, asking for generations. The Jamaica Teachers Association has been visionary in a lot of in fact, when I read the old reporters and the old the old clarions, you see and you hear the conversations that took place back then, and I don't know if a lot of people know that, at one point in history, before the calendar year was changed from January, so the calendar year was once January to December, and then it was changed to September to August. At those conferences, when the conferences that were held in December,
the school calendar here.
Yes, the school calendar was once January to December.
Okay.
Yes. So when, I don't know if persons know that the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Governor General of Jamaica, used to be regular attendants to the conference, the annual conference of the Jamaica Teachers Association. Yes. Why? Because when you read in those old reporters and those, then you see where it is that the resolutions that would impact changes in education, where were they birthed? Right there on the conference floor of the Jamaica. People can't understand, and some will know, but for whatever reason they respond how they respond to me now. But when you read those, I am ignited by those things, because it tells you of the prominence and the place of influence that this august body has had, and the many shiftings. It was the JTA who negotiated, who lobbied for shift schools. When it is that time in history when we saw where many of our little barefoot, dry-eyed children running about the place were not accessing secondary education, what was the solution tabled by the Jamaica Teachers Association? That we introduce shift schools. And the JTA is equally now lobbying, fast forward out of the 70s, that there is a removal of those shift schools. It has served its usefulness and its time. And in this 21st century, 2025, as a country moving towards, we say, Vision 2030, and as a nation, you would think that by now we would guarantee secondary education to our children. If you read the Constitution of this nation, 1962, we don't guarantee. And that's a concern for me. With all of this debate about wanting to change from a republic, a conservative constitutional monarchy to a republic, and all of that, nowhere in the conversation, perhaps it missed me, that we are saying we want to entrench in our constitution what it is we offer to our Jamaican children. Secondary education, it's not guaranteed. What we guarantee our children is access to primary education in this 21st century. So we don't guarantee secondary education, and we don't guarantee tertiary education. Now, as a nation, who we say that our greatest resource, so many persons campaign, we want better for the children, but where are we putting our finances to support that which is coming from our lips, right? In crafting a plan for education. So if you look at number 2, I am of the firm belief that the education policy monitoring and reform, I'm of the firm belief that education is in need of a reformation now. It's needed. And said reformation, the crafting of a framework to guide education is needed, and it must be done by teachers. Teachers must drive that conversation. Teachers must sit at the table. And so I believe that reformation is needed. And in crafting the plan, we will highlight all it is that we need. And we have the baseline data. I'm talking ministry now, We have the baseline data. So we're talking about the education improvement plan for Jamaica. So I named it education improvement. So just like how we have school improvement plan, the education improvement plan for Jamaica needs to be coined. Yes. And that needs to be after we've done our SSE or self-evaluation of where we currently are as a nation. Yes. And do we have data where that self-evaluation has taken place? Yes. In the documents of 2004 task force. Yes. In the recent Patterson report, it is there where it is we can clearly identify what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, where are the gaps, what needs to be done. And then now you're going to need the teachers on the ground to determine what are going to be the tasks and the activities that must take place in order to improve education in a meaningful and sustainable way based on our resources. And equally important to that is that of what is the cost of, because in the SIP, you have to do the financials.
You have to have your budget.
So you have to be able to say how much it is going to cost. Does the government of Jamaica listen to Sonja Harris? Yes. We go and replay my inaugural speech. I called for a philosophy of education and did so for the entire duration of my presidency. Does Jamaica today have a philosophy of education? Yes, it does. It may want some work, yes, but yes, Jamaica has a. I also talked about the financing of education, because when I highlighted that we pay $2,500 per child. I'm going to take time repeat it, because I was $2,500 is what we pay per child at the primary level.
I should have said that is what we use to educate a primary child for the year.
Divide that by 190 days. It equates to $13 per day. That's what we give per child. That's what the budget of Jamaica affords. And then we give some $150,000 for grant, and we give some other TVET grants, and we give some other things. But what we give at the core, yes? And so these are some of the areas that why we need to establish a finance plan as to how we're going to fund this reformation in education. And we look at our reality. Currently, the government affords 5% of gross domestic product. How much money does that translate to in real life? And then we're going to say private sector. Right about now, this is what it takes to finance education in Jamaica if we're really going to transform this nation and to build our human capital, our greatest asset and resource as a nation. This is what it's going to take. Right now, government can only provide this amount. Private sector, you need to put your money where your mouth is. We want $2 from you. Diaspora, we need another $2 from you, and the government will put the other $1 incrementally. So we need a plan. And integral to that plan, sir, not only is it about improving capital expenditure for us to build new schools, do infrastructural, provide, what integral to that plan is how we pay our teachers. And the salary of our teachers needs to be a respectable one. And I will again point out the trained graduate, the classroom teacher, because I am of the firm belief, Sonja, Fiona Terrison Harrison, I'm convicted that if the trained graduate receives a livable wage, then all categories, other categories of teachers will receive salaries that they can live on, because you have to naturally do out the balance. If once the trained graduate, the classroom teacher is rightly situated and aligned. So,
Hold on a second. Me kind of confused about this livable wage thing. What do you consider as livable wage?
Well, if by the Ernst & Young study, had the teachers received that $3.6 million at the first point, the baseline.
In which year?
The first point.
Yeah, man, in 2004, 2024. Because what then would it serve now? Being the same thing at 2025. That amount.
Remember, what the government did was to pay the money over a 3-year period.
So inflation.
So the teacher, all our monies, everybody, all the whole government. So they're rolling out this new thing. They say we can't afford you to pay the money at the same time. So we're going to break it up over 3 years and pay you the monies, right? So had the teachers, so the teachers are yet to receive, and even where it is that we're pegging it, it's certainly more than what the nurses would have received at their highest end for the first point as well. So the teachers, because remember, based on what it is that I'm asking, the minimum of that 3.6 million. So that is when you negotiate, sir. You know how negotiation go?
Yes.
Where we say we now go below is $3.6 million at the starting point. Right. In addition to that, I believe that the teachers of this nation ought to receive a grant from government that will help to offset As soon as rain set up for fall or threat of hurricane or any national emergency and you can't reach a school, teacher is expected to go online. So I believe that the government of Jamaica should assist in offsetting. You're not paying the teachers 100% of market. You should assist us with a grant that will help to take care of our internet, offset our internet, offset our electrical bill, and also help as a little money to help maintain the what you call it, these laptops, these devices,
Gadgets.
that because government does well in providing certain things, but they don't do well in providing maintenance. Yes.
Maintenance is very expensive.
So that is the part of it. So I'm saying help the teacher to maintain the gadget, the device. And additionally, I also believe that we need to have in writing that this device, which usually expires around this time, should be replaceable or renewable every 3 to 5 years for the teacher. Because we know these devices don't build to last very long after that. After a while, they become desktop and you can't use them unless they're permanently plugged in or they start pulling apart and we know teachers use these daily. Your lesson plan, your execution of your NSC daily. So they're worked.
One of the things that I would say, if you ask them to purchase laptops or the devices and turn around to maintain, they may very well say, well, it has to be our device and not yours. And that would be another start. Remember, at one point when the tablets and all the laptops
no,
were
sir,
given
is a contribution. Me asking
yes,
the one-off
no,
grant. The one-off grant is to help with the internet and
no, but what about the maintenance for the device?
Sir, you think the government of Jamaica going to pay the teachers enough money? Is a contribution we're asking for, sir. The government contributes. Yes. So I am saying we need a contribution, right?
Yes.
And then as the world, the employers that the government of Jamaica is, they ought to provide us with the basic device of a laptop to carry out and execute the duties. Then we never ask them to provide us with the printer, the ink, and all of these things, sir. Yeah, so we still have to be doing part of the work. We still have to absorb a lot of the cost. When you go into those classrooms and see those print-rich classrooms, it is not coming out of the monies, the monies that we get in our subventions, and we get each. We can use so much and no more of it to purchase teaching aids. So the teachers have to still subsidize the resources that they when we go into the classrooms, and if we go into the classrooms for evaluation and we don't see them, the teachers are usually marked down. If external people come and they don't see the classrooms having that kind of life, then no teaching not taking place.
And so this is one of the things that we look at, and I will continue to see. Some person have the view these are reasons why teachers continue to trying to do something extra to make the money. But the money they make in extra, them spend it back at the classroom.
I'm going to tell you, I'm a classroom teacher for how many years, sir? I'm going to tell
you. I don't understand. It's true. But saying that to Miss, if the government, you ask for better salaries for teachers, you ask for the 2,500 in the primary section for each child
to be improved significantly.
Yes. Let me stick you up on a point here. If the government say they can't do both, they will do one. Which would you take?
Hey, if they were to choose, if they were to choose to do what?
If they say that they can't improve it on the 2005 and at the same time to improve or to increase the salaries, but they'll give you the opportunity to choose one. Either to improve the money for each child or to improve the teacher's salary. Which one would you take?
Improve the monies for each child vis-a-vis improving the salaries for teachers. Well, right about now, sir, I think you need a motivation for the teachers to remain in the classroom, and to and one major part of that motivation is the salary
Mhm.
that the teacher gets, because either way the teacher is still subsidizing the education system out of his or her pocket, improved or no improved, because that's our current reality. We are not getting adequate salary, and out of that little much, we are subsidizing the government of Jamaica. Our classrooms benefit, children daily benefit from teachers little much, because we remember say so and so no have no break money, so and so no have no lunch money, so and so gonna need one pair of shoes for come back to school after the midterm, so and so going to need one suit of uniform because the khaki can't go no further. We're seeing the underwear and body parts more than we see in the khaki itself. Yes. And so we have to go find it, beg it, or yes, in order to help that particular child. September coming, so and so now, all who in your class, no textbook not coming. No matter how you plead like all to parent, no textbook not coming. So you have to find a way how you going to help subsidize, or you go beg your family member, everybody, John Paul, everybody down at church, everybody where you say, can I get a contribution, please,
Until
to
next year,
help?
then tell you no. I'm tired of you.
So these are the realities of teacher. When you're packing the little lunch, your member says so and so go sit down in a corner and look on you, no have nothing, and you have to take
But
something out of your lunch bag in order to feed that child. Pay the teacher. Thank you so much.
it's important. All right. I love that part of it because we continue to help our students. So you have spoke, you made mention of some of your goals that you would take carry out throughout
So we
when
can spend whole night talk about that, because a whole heap of things want fixing education, and all of them could not hold on this paper.
you
I
know.
come to see them for generations, and we're going to continue the struggle and the fight. But I do believe, you see,
Mhm.
I don't have a myopic view of education. I don't have a small, it's not just my little circle me I fight for. I always even ask my colleagues from my former school. I'm even making everybody department business when it concern me. They might do one little fundraiser. I say, how can I help? I am over there helping. I'm over there trying to help find the solutions. In my department is not my, but I'm thinking about the overall picture. I will
Right.
oftentimes get up and say, if the history department of this school is doing well, and all my children are doing well, and all the other departments pop down, you think anybody coming into the school, reviewing the school, and say, oh, we
Just
celebrate the history department, they're going to say school pop down? Because when they look at the overall picture, the school is not doing well. When I look at the overall picture of Jamaica, the reform needs to take place, and once that reformation takes place, then teachers will be paid better, and the conditions under which we work will be better, in order for us to continue to pay attention to teaching and learning. While we have to walk around with the offering pan to get money to subsidize JCDC, and to send the children go track meet, and to send the children go DA sports, to send the children go to what you call it, competition, debating competition, and operation
quiz
fix the system.
competition.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Operation fix the system. Once the system is fixed, sir, and we have to start at the foundational level, because we can't leave out the conversation there. If it is you can't fix building from up at top, you have to fix the building from the foundation. Early childhood is in need of urgent attention in this nation. I have on my thing where the infant departments need their caregivers, the adequate number of caregivers. But even before that, the children at basic school, the early child needs to be assessed. So when those children are properly assessed, and I'm not talking the 4-year-old assessment test that is done,
Mhm.
I'm talking about where we get the people who can diagnose the children, because as teacher we can only have summation and we can surmise and say, based on when they teach you up a college and not by university, and all of us have our masters and all of these things, we get an inclination that this child is suffering from autism, or this child is on the spectrum, this child have dyslexia. We can only think it, but we better not say it and declare it over anybody's child, lest we be sued, and we don't get enough pay to be sued,
Not
right?
at all.
So
We have the JTA can defend us now.
so it is important for us to fix early childhood education. When that assessment is done of the child and that file follows the child as the child comes up, then us as the practitioners, now it is we're being held accountable that we're now going to tailor-made teaching and learning to help, support this child the best way we can in a regular classroom, if that is the case. Because the truth is, sir, what we need are additional special education units. Either we're going to put them on cluster base in our regions, in our schools, or we are going to in a meaningful treat with the inadequacy of special education units across the nation once the testing has been done. How whole it needs to be done, but we can get there incrementally if it is we are serious as a nation in fixing education, and it's not a political football. So what I am asking for is that there ought to be a framework, a plan of action to which Jamaica is held to agreement, and regardless of who becomes political governing party, you cannot shift from the left nor to the right concerning this particular plan, because the nation has established it. It has been crafted by teachers. It is being directed by teachers. And we're going to work towards this for the next 10 years. And we're going to find the money collectively, band with belly if we need to, in order to support the rolling out of this particular plan to ensure that every Jamaican child, whether they're up a truckle or they're down on the flat, they can access quality education.
We really want inclusivity in our school. And you mentioned that you need to have these special, aid teachers into our schools. But when you look into the colleges, we don't have a lot of persons studying that. One I would recommend, though, because if you go into the high schools, you'll probably find about 40% or even more students leaving high school, they're not even sure what they want to do. This is where I believe the government have to buy into education and to say, listen, we have something for you. The scholarship, and aid them, guide them into those studies area, those professional aspect of it. Because we don't have enough guidance. Well, we probably have enough guidance counselors.
No.
Yes, no. We don't have enough special needs teachers. And so we are unable to foster these things. You mentioned cluster based, but I don't think we still have those. So maybe you can look at something like this just from early into the high schools. And just like what they used to have the math scholarship and the science scholarship going into this.
And they still have them, sir.
We still have them.
They are there. The university, the oldest in the Western Hemisphere.
Michael.
Yes. That institution, along with others, even up by UTech, I get to understand several scholarships, STEM scholarships are on offer. Why are people not choosing to come into teaching? Then if you have a JTC bill that you don't respect the voice of the teacher, you think anybody wants to come into a profession where you are overworked, underappreciated, disrespected? I don't know. So teaching is not as attractive as it once was, because the salary is certainly a turn off. The conditions under which we work. Some schools, sir, some persons who are now adults can go to those schools and literally find a bench on which they sat years ago and can probably even find their inscription. Yes, I went to a school not too long ago in it depend flat. It they down in a town area. Big school, primary school. And
Mm.
when I went in and I saw that the classrooms were still divided by chalkboard, me said, Tan, for true, down here some but me think say that up on my bush. And I
Your
yes,
bush have money now. We know
and
that.
I actually
How
have
much have money?
shutters. I actually have shutters that divide my main classes, but
This
my
is what
I still have further divisions that are used by the chalkboard. So
your sir.
I said, Mr. Tan, then me never know. Say in mud in down a flat here some modern. Yes, that you would find that the you still have that. So when one teacher over here so play a little music or engagement and whatever for
Mm.
help, the children, then the next teacher who have one silent activity over, she only see for her class as way. Yes, and she say, and because of the partitions that take place, and these are the conditions and the realities in which we are expected to get the children to perform at their optimum. We're not paying attention to the parental deficit that is taking place, the moral degradation in society, and then the teacher is asked to fix all of that, what that needs to be done. When the children are to come to school, they're not coming, teacher must go look for them. Why government no one day tell the parents that only for sending the children to school? It's, it is the teachers ought to go and look for
Look
them.
for
And the
them.
teachers will
Yes.
be held, can be take to court.
Why
Yes,
not?
if it is. And I'm saying, really? Come on. We need to look at how it is we're doing this business of teaching and learning. And we've come a far way. Don't I'm a teacher of history. We've come a far way as a nation.
Which is true.
Far away, coming after independence and even the New Deal plan in the 1960s to improve the offerings, the access to secondary education, all of that with the world development. It was the first of its kind, that kind of loan agreement in order to improve, to build the number of schools that were to be, so Jamaicans could access, ordinary Jamaicans could access secondary education. So we've come a far way, but there's even much further for us to go. And I think we really need to stop projectizing education and do a overhauling, a reform, the reformation that needs to take place. We're all Jamaican. I respect my colleagues. All of us went to the same teachers' college, Sir Wittick, but all of us don't get the same start. We don't all get the same environment in which to display and sharpen our craft. Some persons that work under some strenuous
Which is
situations, while there are others
stressful.
who them get a jump start, I call it.
Don't leave out the stressful situation. Not just
That
yeah,
I know, because they
yeah.
get the children who are coming from homes that are in need of greatest support. And the truth is, all know the story. We know the truth we are going out there, because some of our children, they're literally struggling on their own. Yeah, we know the truth we are going out there. Society won't fix. The home
Really
needs
true.
fixing in order, because a lot of the things that we are asked to deal with as educators, it not start at school or up a yard. It start in the community
And the
is where it
churches,
gets at. And
but
then
things
it
have changed.
filters into the school community. And then we are asked to leave school and go fix up a yard. Can you imagine? So
Madam President,
God help
you-
and bless
you-
the teachers of this nation.
I
God
must tell
help.
you this conversation is much more than just a candidate conversation. You're more like an educational piloting something for the educational system. So I can imagine how far this will take you for the next election. But then we are over 2 hours and this should
Oh,
be,
yes. We could talk
going, and we
more.
want to really wrap up. But I have a text here. Apparently, they don't want to ask the text out there, but they want to find out if it is that you were unable or you didn't get along. That this is what they're saying, that you were unable to move along with some members of the JTA. How well are you prepared are you now to get those issues fixed? And they were talking about that whole signing and all of that. The issues that people don't know. I guess people remember now that it's going into an election, so not everything may be, and we never had a discussion before. So I just reading it because they asked. I don't know. How things? Is the JTA stronger now? Are more unity in the JTA? Because if we never have it, we need it now, especially with this JTC bill. If we never have it before, we have to double up our efforts.
I can only speak for myself, Mr.
Yes. And so that is
I
where
can
one.
only speak for myself. I cannot speak to the hearts and minds of other individuals.
Mhm.
You see, I don't even want to open certain
And you do right. I must say you made that
because
up before.
there are, yes, there are some other nuances and variables that there's some things that are perhaps better left unsaid. Yes,
Okay, that's
because
fine.
they could cause more.
And we don't want any more any disruption in this time either.
It's not disruption, you know. The truth is, not everyone perhaps would have shared my approach. Tradition serves its purpose, but there are some things that not everyone finds that those traditions are worth or should be the way in how it is that they embrace, or how it is that they navigate. Um, so there are perhaps traditions in negotiations that were not embraced. And for me, I do believe I stand vindicated by God that the teacher's situation is one that is still in need of fixing. That Sonja Harrison is not, will not be for sale. I will continue to be the voice to represent and to articulate the teacher's cause. I can live on the salary I receive. However, I know there are many of my colleagues who are not so able to, and I will continue relentlessly to ask. One of the things that was not quite clear or was not as revealed as I perhaps needed to have known
Mhm.
was the support of the ordinary teacher on the ground, this, how it is that they were standing with me. The
That's true.
ordinary teacher out there knows that the president was fighting for him or her to receive a better standard of living. The ordinary teacher. Um,
The ordinary teacher.
the ordinary teacher, the ordinary teacher, and the ordinary member who pays that 1% deserves us fighting until when we fight, yes, when it is that we wrestle with our employers and when they realize that, all right, President, we can't go no further. We will draw breaks here, so
Yes.
until next time. The teacher's cause still needs fixing. We can't be living from loan to loan and hand to mouth as the teachers continue to do in this nation. And I am offer myself to be that voice, and I'm protected by by the Father,
Yes.
because it's not. There are those who don't agree with my perhaps stance, or there are those who don't agree with, I don't know. You'll probably have to ask them
And
with
I will.
what it is that they disagree about, how it is that I would feel the need, convicted, that the cause of the teacher. You have some whole heap of things we have to get sorted out. Yes, sir. And I don't kid myself. They will not all be fixed under presidency of mine. But what I commit to do is playing my part and to being the voice
Of the
to
teachers.
let the teacher's side of the story be heard to John public. Because sometimes when we listen to our employers in the media, persons will leave with a different interpretation and think that, everything is okay for the teacher, or they're doing their best. And we know that there are some areas that they need significant improvement, on. So we'll continue to lobby, and our lobby ultimately benefits the children, because the conditions under which we work are the same conditions under which the children learn. Yes. And it
Yes.
is important for us to ensure that those are improved, so all Jamaican children. And sir, we have to encourage the teachers by the salaries that we receive, the resourcing of education, because we need Jamaican teachers to remain in Jamaican classrooms. So traditional Jamaican values can continue to be transmitted from one generation to another. We pledge to the Eternal Father. Every teacher is not a Christian, but for the one has never been, but for the most part, we believe that there is a God, and that God is to be worshipped and to be honored and to be respected. And so we have over generations passed that on to our children. We need to safeguard those precepts and principles in
Mhm.
our nation as we seek to develop the mind, the body, and the entire child in unearthing their giftings and talents, and positioning them to go out there and to change the world. Yeah.
It's so true. The same number that asked me to read that text is saying, go, you have my vote. You are the love of the teachers.
Blessings.
So last the election is coming up. Final. I know you have just said a lot that could have closed the show, but is there anything that you want to say to your people, to your team?
The struggle is real. No quick fix. But you need someone who has the heart of the teacher. I left St. Faith's Primary School to go to Presidency. And after Presidency, I returned to St. Faith's Primary School. And if after I go to presidency again and the Lord says you're to return to St. Faith's Primary School, then I'll go back with all pleasure. It actually is a pleasure to go
Yeah.
to St. Faith's. In fact, when I go there, it's hard to leave in the days. Yes. So it actually is my pleasure to serve that small school community and those children in rural Jamaica, because I see potential and all of them are deserving of quality access to quality education. And so you need someone with a heart, with the mind as well, keen eyes, because there are some things written in black and white that we need to pay attention to. And you need that individual who is going to be paying attention, and certainly with the help of those selected individuals whom will come alongside me in the journey, that together we will champion the cause. We will continue to be on the front line, burning the matters pertaining to fixing education in order for us as a nation to move our people. There are so many things that are levied at us. The literacy rate, this how much percentage in mathematics and all of these things, but
Yes.
there are other variables that are impacting the work of the teacher, other variables. When we have to walk around with our offering pan and we're distracted with by so many things, no nurses, no counselors, no all of these things in the school, we're expected to deal with all of these things and still focus laser sharp on teaching and learning. That is impossible. Impossible. So education is in need of resourcing. I call for a reformation of same, and integral to that is that of paying the teacher a livable wage, as well as that we provide the resources that the teachers need in order for them to carry out the business of teaching and learning. Every blessing to you, my colleagues. Vote for the teachers president. That's what I've been labeled. Miss
Yeah.
Livable Wage before I came out of presidency. Yes. And certainly the voice of the teacher, that I will commit to keep on being. Even without presidency, I represented the teachers on so many issues that have nothing to do with yours truly on the conference floor. And I've continued to do same even after presidency. Some thought I would have perhaps gone drawn into a corner and went to sit. Not so. Not as long as there are issues burning, issues read justice and truth, issues that affects the teacher's day-to-day living. So blessings. Thank you so much, Mr. Whittick.
You are
And I
so welcome.
to consider Sonja Harrison for the vote for your 62nd president of the Jamaica Teachers Association.
I must say you're most welcome, and I'm sure that you'll have to come back here and decide the question. Too much information that I've not yet disseminated to us, and more so because we always try to do at least a little debate. It's easier for this year. You only have two other contestants, and RR is asking. I could have answered RR. I'm not sure of one name, so I'll just wait and to tell you the names of the others he asked. All right, so you have gotten yours truly right here. And I remember this is Mr. Jermaine Williams
Yes.
and Miss Maureen Nelson.
Dr. Maureen Nelson.
Dr. Maureen Nelson.
Yes,
So
and we
Dr. Maureen Nelson, Jermaine Williams, and of course, Sonja Harrison. Those are the presidents. I don't know if you have a vote. Top 10 is not living in Jamaica, but he loves the education system.
Yes.
All right. I want to say thank you very much. Top 10, Carlin, RR, Rita, all of you who participated in the chat. There are so many persons here tonight, and we respect that. All right. Bernice, all of you, Kay, Andrew, I tell you, Itina, all of you, big up yourself. Michelle Barnes, I want to say that as well. Eleni, Case, yes. And we also have Ricardo who came in earlier. I hope you're still there. And Tamara. Thank you very much for joining and continue. We will also providing more of the same or even better in time to come. Thank you very much, Mrs. Sonja Harris, and all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you. Bless you and blessings to all your listeners.
Thanks to everyone.
Have a wonderful night. Bless you.
Thank you very much. All right. So this is where we say goodbye to you all and see you soon. All right.